Chapter 1. An Old Friend. Kiran was looking affectionately at the neem tree from her bed. She had been in bed for a month. One day, while dancing, Kiran fell and fractured her leg. Nimai had been her companion through that time. She could hardly think of a more comforting sight than the handsome and elegant tree holding its head high against the background of the blue sky. She could almost hear her grandpa's voice in the murmur of the small green leaves and the long spreading branches. Grandpa often told her how people believed that a few drops of heavenly nectar fell on the neem tree, giving it medicinal property. Kiran's grandpa planted the neem tree the day their family came to live in the newly built house. Although Kiran was not born then, she imagined her young grandpa entering the house, smiling triumphantly. In his hand was the neem plant, which he had collected from the old gardener in his office. Since then, Nimai, as the tree was named, had been a part of their life. It was the place for Grandpa's morning prayers. The neighborhood remembered his gentle, rhythmic voice chanting the Surya Pranam. In summer, he would come and sit under the tree as the afternoon breeze started. How he loved to see the neem flowers appearing from March to April, the air carrying their light fragrance, and the greenish yellow fruits ripening from June to August. For hours, he would sit there reading, writing, or gazing at the numerous young leaves and the birds, squirrels, and butterflies who lived in it. He could talk endlessly about the uses of every part of the tree. The bark was used as tincture. The seed oil and soap could be used for various skin diseases. Kiran's grandma always kept dried neem leaves in between books and clothes to protect them from weevils. In his childhood, Grandpa once had smallpox. His mother used to comfort his burning skin with the feather-like touch of neem leaves. He often told Kiran, his most devoted listener, that the neem leaves still reminded him of his mother's affectionate touch. Kiran always remembered the day when the news of Grandma's death came at her uncle's house in Shimla. The old man didn't utter a word but sat all day under the tree, perhaps looking at his age-old companion for strength. Grandpa left their family just as suddenly and silently. Kiran had been sent to call in Grandpa, who had been sitting under the neem tree all day. At first, Kiran had thought he was dozing and had tried to wake him up. Grandpa, your time of chatting with Nimai is up. But the old man's head fell to his chest as Kiran stood shocked. She noticed a few dried neem leaves fluttered down to Grandpa's lap. That had been a few months ago. Kiran was a thoughtful girl, much like her grandpa. The loss had affected her deeply. This afternoon, she was lost in her thoughts, looking at Nimai's shiny leaves. Her mother came in with the news of the day. The new car your father talked about will be delivered the next day morning. This was great news indeed, and she was very excited. She jumped down from her bed and announced, "I'm not going to stay in bed anymore. The very next day morning, I'm going on a long drive with Papa." When the first rush of excitement was over, her mother broke the next piece of news to Kiran cautiously. "Your father says that we have to cut down Nimai to make a place for a garage for the car." Kiran could not believe her ears. "How can you do that? Would you get rid of me or Sumit because of lack of space? Don't you remember how much Grandpa loved the tree?" The 10-year-old girl's voice was lost in sobs. Kiran's mother called her father. There was a long argument between father and daughter on the phone, but the girl would not budge. "You are just being stubborn, Kiran. Your grandpa was my father. I loved him too. We can remember him in 100 other ways. And where else can we keep the car?" her father asked. In the end, he decreed that the woodcutters would come the next morning, whether Kiran liked it or not. Kiran was left to herself for the rest of the day. The house was busy and nobody seemed to notice the morose girl. Towards evening, the sky was dark with heavy rain clouds. There was a clap of thunder, and big drops of rain started to fall. The fragrance of wet soil reminded Kiran of her grandpa and the way he took in deep breaths of the rain-soaked air. Suddenly, there was a deafening sound. The lights in the house went off, and a bright flash lit up the world outside for a second. When her eyes adjusted themselves to the darkness, Kiran saw that Nimai was burning and heard her father scream from somewhere near the gate. This was too much for the girl who had been a bundle of anxiety from the expected loss of her beloved tree. Her head spun as she sank to the ground. When she opened her eyes, she saw her family looking at her. Her father held her in her arms. There were tears in her eyes. Later, they told her that a big bolt of lightning had struck the tree. Had it not been for Nimai, it would have struck her father as he got out from the car. Even as the tree died, it performed a last act of kindness to the family. The next morning, Kiran was not in her room. A note on her table said that she was going out with their old servant Rama. As the day wore on, her parents got more and more anxious. Kiran's father, her uncles and friends went out to search for her at her friend's home and then in hospitals and police stations. But there was no news of her. A 10-year-old girl and an old servant seemed to have vanished from the city. It was almost 11:15 at night. The lights blazed in every room. The extended family filled the house, but nobody spoke. Suddenly, somebody shouted, "There she is!" Everyone rushed out. Kiran could be seen at a distance, followed by Rama. The girl had walked a long way. Her face gleamed with sweat, and dust covered her knees. But her face was lit up with a triumphant smile. She held a small neem sapling in her hand. Everybody began questioning her at once, but she only answered her mother. "Ma, I found Grandpa's old gardener's house with the help of Rama uncle. Now this sapling will take Nimai's place." Her face shone with the love that her grandpa had passed on